Hello there, listener. Today I wanted to talk a little bit about something that's preoccupied my mind, and that's pettiness, and pettiness of ideas especially. A fundamental point is that I think quite a lot of right wingers and even modern politics in general is too much engaged with pettiness and with scandals, and it's like a soap opera where people talk about sort of as if there's this breakup and so on, and oh, terrible things and drama and emotional stuff. But I think that that's not really what politics is about. Politics is a combination of all things. It's philosophy, it's economics, it's historical analysis, it's many things. But it shouldn't be all about this petty engaging in the issues of the day. Now, when I was at university, I met a friend there who helped red pill me at the time. Although at this point, I'm probably considerably more right wing than he is. And we would argue this, like, why engage in politics? We have other interests. There's more important things to do. There's more truth in the universe to discover. But we both agree that you have to engage in politics. Why? Because as a young man, it's your sort of responsibility to hear the call. It is Jungian concept of heeding the call, and that can be overcoming external threats, but it can also be overcoming internal strife within your civilization. And the problem that our civilization fundamentally has is it's divided against itself. There's this concept called Maslow's pyramid of needs in psychology, where you've got food, then safety, then psychological fulfillment, and so on. And you need to have that pyramid filled out for most of the individuals in your society in order to be able to build a culture and to progress as a civilization. The problem is that we have today is that our civilization is quite busy dismantling a lot of the baser levels of this pyramid. Safety and security is, of course, under threat since multiculturalism. We've got considerably more rape, ethnic violence, ethnic conflicts. Even if there were no direct violence, there's the sense of ethnic displacement. There's a sense of there's more stress. Putnam's famous study about ethnic proximity bringing more stress generally, even if it doesn't necessarily has to do with violence or anything. People simply don't like being around others and others' cultures. And then there's also psychological needs not being fulfilled. We've dismantled quite a lot of the institutions that were ensuring our psychological needs, such as the Institute of Marriage and so on. So you get quite a lot of young men and women who are unable to find partners, who don't have children, that disengage from society because of this or become pathological. Quite a lot of the extreme feminist types, I think, has to do with that they are pathologized against men and then they don't find fulfilling relationships. And the same happens with quite a lot of men withdrawing from society and not getting jobs and so on. The MGTOW phenomena, the NEET phenomena, and so on. So the problem is we have our society divided and decaying. So we have to engage in some of these petty ideas. What I find lacking is that there is no greater ideas being presented. When I listen to all of these right-wingers on YouTube and so on, and I read their articles, with some exceptions, the vast majority doesn't really present much in the way of ideas. It's all about, what's happened now in the movement. Oh, look at this crazy leftist. Look at what they've done now. Oh, look at what stupid proposal they've done. Oh, look at all these Muslims doing something. It's all very petty. And you have to play the pettiness game for political victories and so on and to find engagement with what concerns people. But you also have to, you draw them in with answering their concerns, but then you have to present them a worldview. The example I would give is, for example, it's very hard to start. We have to start exploring the stars. We have to start building spirituality under our civilization again. We have to find a cohesive narrative in a Jungian sense. And it's very hard to start learning to mine asteroids and to build starfaring ships if all your engineers are more concerned with who's more oppressed and who's most progressive and so on, rather than actually the physics of mining asteroids. So I think politics is about grand ideas, and I don't see many grand ideas on the right. I see a very strong lack of philosophy. There's, of course, what the left does is doesn't present narratives anymore either. The left is completely built on criticism of dismantling ideas and never putting a narrative forward of their own. They used to have a narrative, the sort of Star Trek narrative, which is interesting. It's sort of like multiculturalism has been overcome, the races are all united and so on, and we're going to explore the stars. I kind of like that sort of idea, just not the multicultural aspect of it, because it's a lie. And the problem with the left is, I think, is that they've lost all their stories that they put forward in the past of, oh, well, if we achieve equality, if we achieve multiculturalism, we will do away with all human problems. We will do away with egalitarianism. We will make everyone happier and wealthier and so on. That's all proven to be completely incorrect, of course. So they don't put forward any ideas anymore because on the one hand, they're busy putting out all the fires that their narratives have caused, and on the other, they have to dismantle the narrative coming from the right, which is still forming in many ways. At any rate, I think there should be more time devoted to thinking, to philosophy, to building a narrative that includes economics, includes philosophy, includes our history, and there's many components here and there, but too much of the right is engaged in petty politics, is engaged in deconstruction. I mean, if you read Spengler isn't really putting a narrative forward, although his historiography is invaluable. He's just putting a criticism forward of the linear view of history. And many right-wing thinkers are like this. They are pessimists, they are critical, and many of them, the figures we have on the right today are, the phrase is nicely, they are engaged merely in drama, merely in profiteering, somewhat, although I think quite most of them are genuine, but they do not advance any sort of agenda outside of some YouTube stream or something talking about, I don't know, Rotherham or something. I mean, if it's about Rotherham, actually, you're lucky, because it's more often it's about like who backstabbed who did a bad optics, this sort of thing. That's all sort of uninteresting to me, although I do engage in it, of course, everyone does. But I think the philosophy is more important. The fulfilling of Maslow's pyramid of needs, putting a Weltanschauung forward for everyone, that's what we really should be engaging in, and that's what I'm sort of doing, although I'm still working that out.